Ciao, bye bye, selamat jalan, 再见. Those are words that are perfectly acceptable to describe this whole situation right here. Who's in the house today? Let me know, sapoops. Either way, we know who's not in the house right now, and that is your good old-fashioned Keir Starmer. It's so sad. You have no idea how sad it is, but yeah, I think a lot of people kind of know that it is sad. It's actually pathetic. I mean, like the guy is actually just like gone, like completely, like goodbye, like no more. And I don't know how many of you are following UK politics, but wow, like so much for the sun never sets on the British Empire. This is very unfortunate, but it is what it is. How's everyone doing today? You know, I heard about this whole Keir Starmer thing and how he resigned, and it was just fascinating to me. But at the same time, it's kind of like a long time coming. I have never seen a single man be so emasculated. And if you don't know what that word means, it means that a man is not even a man anymore. Like, it's like the whole universe was like conspiring to make this person into something less than a man. And well, to be fair, right? Like some people they say that crying in front of the camera is basically a very man-like thing altogether. But in case anyone's not actually seen that just yet, we're gonna be watching that just in a bit. How's everyone doing? Where are you watching from? Let me know in the chat. Also, let's do a bit of a poll as well. So, question: Keir Starmer has resigned. Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? All right, so let's go right ahead and choose this right here, and let's put in a not sure. Yes, no, not sure. Great. Okay, so the poll is live. All right, so anyway, I hope that everyone is doing great. Well, some people will probably be doing even more great than usual just cause Keir Starmer has resigned. But in case you weren't very updated, then we'll be watching this right away. This happened. That everyone is doing great. Well, some people will probably be doing even more great than usual just cause Keir Starmer has resigned. But in case you weren't very updated, then we'll be watching this right away. This happened. Sound just got destroyed. 1 second. All right. Poof. Cause Keir Starmer has resigned, but in case you weren't very updated, then we'll be watching this right away. This happened. Sound just got destroyed. 1 second. Yo, why is the sound not working? 1 second, sorry. Keir Starmer has resigned, but in case you weren't very updated, then we'll be watching. Yes, indeed. I guess Tommy Robinson would be very happy. I mean, like I was actually watching all of that all the way, and it's a very unfortunate situation. And if you actually think about it, maybe it's a sort of like saving grace. I mean, like if you look at like everything that happened to him all this while, I mean, like it's great that he actually ended up like resigning. It's kind of like you take away the actual pain that the guy is sustaining along the way. I mean, it's just it's just really unfortunate. Anyway, let's see if we can actually watch the speech right over here. Bro, the sound though. I don't know if like we can actually get the sound working at the moment. Cause like it seems like it's almost like crashing at the moment. 1 sec. Yo, sound. Doot, 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 doot. Okay, anyway. Here. Bro, the sound though. I don't know if like we can actually get the sound working at the moment. Cause like it seems like it's almost like crashing at the moment.
6 years ago,
1 sec.
I inherited a Labour Party.
Yo, sound.
Politically.
1 sec. I don't know why this is actually like causing sound though. I don't know if like we can actually get the sound working at the moment. Cause like this is very unfortunate. But at the moment.
6 years ago.
1 sec. Okay, great. Perfect. Yes, what a coincidence. Cyril and Doug Udis. I mean, like, maybe like there's a sort of like causal relationship here. Maybe because you ended up taking that trip to the UK, therefore he is resigning. Who knows? Like that could actually be a thing. All right, let's go.
financially and morally bankrupt.
Ah, great.
The
Okay.
proud, thank you. Walking up this street 2 years ago was the proudest moment of my life. A new Labour government, the first in 14 years. A page in our country's history turned after years of disappointment and despair. The chance to change the lives of millions of people for the better. That's what I came into politics for. The journey to that point was not easy. 6 years ago, I inherited a Labour Party that was politically, financially, and morally bankrupt. I was told time and time again that my party,
You
by
know,
a
it's funny
Labour
that he
government,
says that like it was bankrupt because like is it not bankrupt now with the whole like migrant crisis and everything else along the way?
people wrong. Because we changed our party, ripping out the poison of anti-Semitism, restoring trust on the economy, defence and national security, and becoming a party that once again stood proudly with, not against, our national flag.
Wow. You know, it's funny that he says that they stood for the national flag because I remember that when the whole Tommy Robinson thing was going on, like that was not the deal. That was not something that he was supporting. But anyway,
Singular purpose, not power for power's sake, but to change Britain for the better, to build a fairer country with dignity and respect, where everyone is seen, everyone is valued, wealth and opportunity for all, not just the privileged few. And look at what we've achieved in just 2 years. An economy that is stronger, growing faster than our peers, wages rising faster than inflation in every single month since we came to power, investment secured, infrastructure being built, an end to austerity, with the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years.
not that it is really helping you though, Care, is it? Is it muted? Now that's an actual big question that I need to kind of like answer along the way. Let me just see right here. 1 second. Do 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 do. Now let's play it.
Rights for workers
Can you
and
hear me?
renters in a generation. The biggest uplift in defence
Testing,
spending
testing.
since the Cold
All
War.
right.
Small boat crossings falling. Asylum hotels closing. Protecting young people from social media. And 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty because of the choices that I made.
All right.
Our reputation in the world restored, with Britain once again standing up for decency, respect, and the rule of law.
Okay, so short summary for those of you who couldn't hear earlier. So he's basically just chilling and talking about how he is so amazing. Wow, he took over the Labour Party and he did so many amazing things. And to be fair, you know, it's kind of partially true, but again, the important part is not really just there. So,
Securing trade deals, standing with Ukraine,
more shilling.
standing up for our values, and rebuilding our relationship with our allies in Europe. Change promised by a Labour government, change fought for by a Labour government, change delivered by a Labour government. But I know the question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people? Those questions have been answered. The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election.
Care, you're not. You're the prime minister with one of the lowest approval ratings in history. Even Liz Truss knocked you out of the water, bro.
I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first.
Yep, by bringing in tons of migrants.
That is why
Or not stopping the migrants from coming in. Same deal.
I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete, and I will do everything I can to ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office. I want to thank all of those friends and colleagues who have been at my side for these past 6 years or so, for their incredible commitment, service and support. I want to thank the brilliant Number 10 staff and our country's extraordinary civil service who dedicate their lives to public service. And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic.
Okay, I swear, I am not his wife. I am not his wife. I am not his wife. Moving on.
Who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
Okay, that kind of caught me off guard there, but like, I did not know that in fact his wife was Vic. In fact, one could also say that I did not know a lot about this person's family and everything because his existence was just, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, that uninspiring. I don't know how many of you have been watching Keir Starmer ever since he took office, but like, if you look at not just the Mandelson drama or like the whole Keir Starmer's a wanker thing, which the whole Tommy Robinson group was like singing all the while. Maybe some of you remember that. I mean, like, it was kind of interesting to watch all of that happen. But if you actually go ahead and watch actually some of the rallies that have been going on like all the way, like you will see a lot of those out there. That's right. I mean, it's been interesting to think about Care and everything that he's been trying to accomplish for the UK. I mean, like people were saying that he was like directionless, and he was just unfortunate, especially in those moments when he was just casually interacting with Donald Trump. I don't know how many of you were watching all of those different things that were happening along the way, but it was very, very sad. All right, so I saw Astra say being Qatar's lapdog, amongst other things. So yeah, that's very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, guys. So welcome to the live stream. Yeah, so I mean, Brits hate the Labour Party. That is true, but well, I think a lot of people actually just hate the Labour Party. But I think it's kind of like a whole package. You know what I mean? I mean, you've got Sadiq amongst other things, coming in and casually bearing the brunt as well. It's kind of like a buy one, get one free, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting. Anyway, it is kind of interesting to see what is happening with the UK. I don't know if like any of you were watching the rallies that were happening with the whole set of Tommy Robinsons and the people even giving speeches. I remember actually the last time I watched a rally featuring Tommy Robinson, it was during the time when Elon Musk went ahead and gave a speech again about migration and stuff like that. Now, I don't know how many of you out there you believe in that whole story and that whole drama about how, well, migrants were showing up on boats coming across the English Channel and then they were getting into the UK and just having free hotel stays. I don't know how legit that actually is, but it is kind of interesting to think about along the way. Wow. But it's kind of fascinating to see this right here. I mean, like, this was maybe like the one time when Keir Starmer actually so-called stood up to Trump, not wanting to bring Britain into the war. To be fair, having a war is never a nice exercise. It's not like you would actually want your country to go into it. I mean, even if you have like a full-on alliance agreement that you're supposed to kind of deliver on along the way, because that's the whole point of an alliance, is it not? But hey, it's kind of understandable that you would end up doing that. But yeah, I somehow remember that during the early ages of the world wars, basically what happened was that people just decided that they didn't want a war. They didn't want to fight all the way. And then as a result of that, then they ended up having to deal with a much worse war than they might have actually expected along the way. Now, this is actually something that I do have to kind of like verify, but I think that you might find it interesting to learn alongside me as well. Recall for me that time when it was the case that the countries of Europe mentioned that they didn't want war back during the time of the world wars. And then, as a result of the belligerence of a certain national entity, then the entire world was thrust into a world war. The context being the UK and a very pacifist prime minister. Now, I don't know how many of you out there are history buffs, but I think that this is kind of fascinating to think about right there. Also, by the way, about the interactions between Tommy Robinson and Keir Starmer. Just look at that. Like, you've got the whole grooming gangs issue. You might remember that. Like, this whole idea that basically you had people who are of a certain religious inclination who are going around there and like targeting women. Then you might also remember a situation where Robinson got into prison. And you might also remember a whole range of situations where this whole Keir Starmer so wanker things just kind of like came up along the way. But yeah, by the way, so if you don't remember the whole pacifism thing, like that was the time during Neville Chamberlain's administration. I don't know if that is actually related to the whole like Neville Longbottom thing from like Harry Potter, but it somehow just seems like they have the same vibe, if you know what I mean. It just feels like that. And you can actually see this right here, like a whole bunch of people just saying that, like, hey, you don't actually need to fight. No, no fighting, no more war, kind of thing. It's kind of like the whole like liberal, like, oh, let's be like completely woke and let's never actually think about fighting ever again because everybody knows that everybody wants peace nowadays. I don't know how many of you out there have you know thought about this before, but in the modern age, right? Like a lot of people like they say that things about like modern civilization, like, oh, like we are beyond racism, we're beyond war, we're beyond this, that, and everything else right there. And it feels to me actually that Keir Starmer is kind of like a guy who just went on that pathway. He genuinely believed it. He's like, no, never, never again, never again. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And I'm seeing a couple of messages in the chat here, which I find pretty interesting. And there is a mention of Anwar Ibrahim. That's right. So, Anwar Ibrahim, who is born in the year of the pig, Sadiq Khan, who is born in the dog year, and Starmer, born in the year of the tiger. Okay, wow, that's a very intense comment. But the reason I mentioned Anwar Ibrahim, by the way, is that usually what happens is that whenever there is a significant political event, then what happens is that Anwar Ibrahim is going to be one of the very first people out there to come up with a full on Instagram post to highlight the disappointment or the comedy or the friendship between himself and like the insert name of leader. Like it's happened like a lot of different times. You know, it's like the whole like telephone diplomacy. Like I had a conversation with Prime Minister Keir Starmer of the United Kingdom, and His Excellency has left behind a wonderful legacy. And I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be shilling Keir Starmer, but like he probably is going to. I mean, I checked. I checked. I literally checked like right before this, like to see if he actually had a post featuring Keir Starmer already. But yeah, it turns out that the answer was no as of the time that I had actually looked at the post. But I can see right here a misspelling featuring my warm congratulations to Prime Minister Pumabi Ahmed. All right, I was like wondering who this exactly was right here, but it turns out that it is Abiy Ahmed Ali. Congratulations, Prime Minister Abiy. But Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party for their victory in Ethiopia's general election. Okay, I don't know if Anwar has already made a post about Keir Starmer. Let's see right here. That was literally just a short while ago. Let's see. Did you make a post about Keir Starmer? All right, let's see. Nope. Just stuff about Johor at the moment. Nothing about Keir Starmer. But anyway, I mean, maybe Keir Starmer just had no presence to the point that even Anwar forgot about him. Nah, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm pretty sure that like within probably like an hour or 2 hours or so, like there is going to be statements. So that is definitely a thing. But if you think about just like on the level of like personality and Keir Starmer kind of thing, I just can't help but note that at least in my mind, Anwar Ibrahim and Keir Starmer are very similar. Like they're just like people who don't have very strong personalities, at least in my opinion. Like Anwar Ibrahim, in my opinion, is kind of like a kaki quote kind of thing. Like he goes around like making quotes and just saying a whole bunch of things that are like meant to look like he is a hero of justice, solidarity, and stuff of that nature. And I feel that Keir Starmer is kind of like the same way. Does anybody agree? I mean, like, do you feel that that is the case? I feel like that is actually the case. But like, I have just so little impression of what Keir Starmer actually is or what he stands for to the point that I don't even know anymore. You know what? Why don't we go ahead and watch that speech again? And let's actually see if like it is actually legit. By the way, a couple of you are talking about like the ID law at this point in time, and Malaysia actually had like the whole social media. I mean, like maybe some of you remember this right here, but like we have the law for under 16s in Malaysia, and that is actually based on the UK law. I mean, like in Malaysia, right? It is actually being enforced at the moment, but it is actually based on the UK law. So, like, this is something that is going on at the moment. I'll show you guys. Look. So, here you go. Now we have bans on social media accounts. But all of that, by the way, was based on the UK social media law. Look at this. This is not a coincidence. like you think that it is a coincidence, but no, like it is not. It really is not. Like they are basically like all part of the same ecosystem. I mean, you can say that it's good, you can say that it's bad, but like maybe this is one of those things that people are just like worried about and like saying like, oh, it is basically making it so that kids are just completely made dumb. Now, I am kind of like a double mind on that because like for all you know, maybe like using social media doesn't actually help kids to have like critical thinking. Maybe it just gives you like brain rot. I don't know, like if you spend enough time on TikTok and just watch enough AI slop, one video after another 20-second video after another 30-second video, all algorithmically tabled in order to make sure that your eyeballs are stuck to the screen so that the company can make as much money as possible. I have a feeling that like it might just not be very good for you. So the jury is out on that. But anyway, so let's watch Keir's speech again and note that he is going out. Let's do it with subtitles this time. All right. Doo, 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 doo. All right. So I'm glad that you guys are having like a nice discussion, by the way. Like it's always pleasant to see you guys like talk about this. It's good that we are finally talking about something that's not Rohingyas and and something outside Malaysia. Anyway, let's go. If you can't hear anything, so just read the subtitles, I guess.
Thank you. Walking up this street 2 years ago was the proudest moment of my life. A new Labour government, the first in 14 years. A page in our country's history turned after years of disappointment and despair. The chance to change the lives of millions of people for the better. That's what I came into politics for. The journey to that point was not easy. 6 years ago, I inherited a Labour Party that was politically, financially, and morally bankrupt. I was told time and time again that my party was finished, that we were consigned to history, that a majority at the general election, let alone a landslide majority, was impossible. But we proved those people wrong because we changed our party, ripping out the poison of anti-Semitism, restoring trust on the economy, defence and national security, and becoming a party that once again stood proudly with, not against, our national flag.
Oof. Again, I must say this. Tommy Robinson would probably not agree.
The hard work of change was with a singular purpose, not power for power's sake, but to change Britain for the better, to build a fairer country with dignity and respect, where everyone is seen, everyone is valued, wealth and opportunity for all, not just the privileged few. And look at what we've achieved in just 2 years. An economy that is stronger, growing faster than our peers, wages rising faster than inflation in every single month since we came to power, investment secured, infrastructure being built, an end to austerity, with the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years, the biggest improvement in rights for workers and renters in a generation, the biggest uplift in defence spending since the Cold War, small boat crossings falling, asylum hotels closing, protecting young people from social media, and 500,000 children being lifted out of poverty because of the choices that I made. Our reputation in the world restored, with Britain once again
Wow.
standing up for decency, respect, and the rule of law.
Okay, to be fair, I mean, like, if that happened, then it probably wasn't because of Care doing something like, I don't know, like massive or anything. It's just like the system working. You know what I mean? Like you could put anyone there. You could put like a potato in place and like it could have worked. I don't know. Like prove me wrong.
Securing trade deals, standing with Ukraine, standing up for our values, and rebuilding our relationship with our allies in Europe. Change promised by a Labour government, change fought for by a Labour government, change delivered by a Labour government. But I know the question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party, to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people. Those questions have been answered. The question my
Well, yeah, I mean, like, Andy's going to have a fun time.
party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead
Oh,
us
thank you, Top Yo.
into the
Appreciate it.
next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first.
I'll answer that question in a bit right there, but yeah. Let's say that maybe it is colonial guilt or something like that. More on this later.
That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete, and I will do everything I can to ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office. I want to thank all of those.
Okay, great. So like mostly the rest of this is just like thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And his wife,
The
Vic,
best
who again
husband I
is not
can.
me. Gosh, okay. I'm sorry, Keir Starmer. Like, I didn't take enough of a personal interest in your personal life to the point that I knew that your wife was named Vic. But all right, like, let's have a look at Keir Starmer family wife. Okay, great. So, like, let's just see right here. Victoria Starmer. Great. Okay, great. Thank you, Vic. You guys have a fun time now. I'm sure that it'll be a nice conversation when you get back home a little later today. I mean, I'm assuming that you haven't talked to her just yet. Maybe you have talked to her, or maybe like all of you kind of like knew. Apparently, Donald Trump knew that you were gonna resign, so that is kind of yeah, a unique timing to well, have this conversation, which possibly you've had like multiple times over, unless of course you don't actually talk to your wife because like you are just so busy with the prime ministership and dealing with the Pakistani gangs. Yeah. I don't know if they're all Pakistani, but like it was an actual real big issue and it was a really big concern. Now, Top Diot was asking why is it that the British people were so afraid of being called racist? And my initial answer was that like, yo, they just have like guilt. You know what I mean? And like it is true that British colonialism has done a lot of things. I say it has done a lot of things because like I don't want to just say that it ruined things. It also like did a whole bunch of good. it wasn't like for the benefit of the host countries. I mean, like Malaysia, for example, you think that they did that as a charity? No, they did that because Malaya was like one third of their fucking foreign exchange earnings. Like literally, they were getting so much money from the rubber that they were sending over in order to make it so that people could actually afford their NHS bills and just have money along the way. But it's kind of interesting as well. I'm reading this book at the moment by Edward Said, who is this Palestinian writer. I mean, he was a Palestinian writer. And the book that he wrote is called Orientalism. I don't know if like anyone here has actually read that book before, but it's a really good book, in my opinion. One of the most educational books on the planet, even if I feel like maybe not everyone would necessarily agree with every single part of it. It's basically saying that, hey, do you know that the West is racist and it has created very twisted pictures of the East? But anyway, there is a quote there of this author named Rudyard Kipling, a classic example of what Edward Said talks about when he talks about authors, right, that create a distorted picture of the West. And there's actually a poem by Rudyard Kipling, who was, by the way, the very first Nobel Prize winner in literature in English, who wrote in English. And there is a poem right here that is literally called The White Man's Burden. This is what it says right here. You can go right ahead and read the thing. But essentially, like, these people actually were literally thinking that they were making people stop being poor. They could bring countries to life. They would save the entirety of civilization. So then, I mean, do they feel guilty about racism? I don't know about that. But it is probably a fact, right, that a lot of people in London for quite a long while were thinking about the actual effects of like their whole colonialism, the whole empire thing. That is, if they weren't just convinced, right, by people like Balfour or Cromer that it was actually all just like part of a divine project to like save the world. But yeah, no, really though. Like the whole thing, right, about the UK is that like at some point they really just started following that whole multicultural plot where they just never enforced any borders at all. Like in Malaysia, of course, we have this idea of like wanting to be Malaysia first and like prioritizing Malaysia as a country and not letting in people from other countries, hint Rohingya, hint, from just going in and actually like tearing our society apart. I'm not saying that they do tear our society apart in every single case, but if you are in a situation where you're coming in illegally and it was for politics, and by the way, you're paying 25K to show up in our country while you are just casually seeking pity from everybody around you and you just continue to do so and actively try to break up our society as per what Sahat Zia Hero chose to do. I don't know if like you remember what Sahat Zia Hero said, but in case you don't remember, then I'm gonna go right ahead and remind you. He is, in fact, one of the best friends, in fact, of Nur Aziza Rohingya, who, of course, we have been talking about quite a while now, but I don't. And by the way, like these guys are actually like friends. Like there are actually like videos and pictures of this person and Nur Aziza Rohingya, which I'm sure that a lot of you actually remember at the moment. Yeah. I can't go on Reddit to look at this because like every single like Reddit post has been like just casually cancelled. But yeah, so like Nora Aziza and your I don't know if like you can find Sahat Zia Hero together. Let's see. Sahat Zia Hero. Where are you? Okay, maybe there isn't that right here, or maybe it's on the Rohingya Women Collective. Instagram. Let's see. Collaborative. Okay, Sahat Zia Hero. Sahat Zia Hero. Where is my Sahat Zia Hero? Okay, I don't know if like you can actually find that like anywhere, but oh, 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 oh. No. Okay. Anyway, so these guys know one another, and you can of course remember the way that like Noor Aziza was like casually like giving a speech, and just casually like breaking up our society by accusing us of like basically torturing children. But Sahat Zia Hero was a little bit different. I mean, like he ended. Look at this. Okay, like he's still saying this right here. Enough is enough. End kidnapping now. Protect Rohingya children. Protect our future, bro. Uh, yeah, I don't know if like that's a reference to Malaysia, but if it's being applied to Malaysia, then yeah, not exactly. But anyway, let me see. Did he actually delete that post? Let me see. Wow. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Ah, okay. We're almost there. Look at this. Malaysian Muslims brothers and sisters are requested to protect our Rohingya brothers and sisters from the non-Muslims migrants who spreading hates against Rohingya. Bruh. Yeah. The funny thing about this is that like, he tried to divide up our society, but I feel like our society actually became stronger because of this right here. And like you actually have people like uniting and just casually noting, and it's so like messed up, right? Like wouldn't expect people to like unite over the fact that like they just don't like these people who are like casually like trying to like destroy the relationships between us. But like this is actually what was happening, you know what I mean? So yeah. But anyway, that's Hero Zia, whatever have you, and it's kind of wild to think about. But anyway, so if you actually think about the whole grooming gangs type thing, you can actually see that like our good old buddy Care was just kind of like heeing, hawing, hemming, hawing, just like not really taking action along the way. Like he was like tepaling human rights, you know what I mean? It's I'm sure that there were some law enforcement actions, but like see the thing is justice should not just be done, but it should also be seen to be done. And like the thing is that like a lot of people were just like not seeing that happen during the Starmer administration. I think that that sort of unhappiness kind of went to a boiling point to the point that people were just like, like this can't be happening anymore. And they just like yeeted him out. They just yeeted him out. Like that's just what happened. Now, let's refresh Anwar Ibrahim for a bit right here. I don't know if like he's actually made a post right here or if he's just still kind of like hanging around. Nope. No Anwar Ibrahim post yet. But anyway, well, it is just a fact that as of right now, right here, our good old fashioned Keir Starmer has disappeared from view and is never to be seen again. Should all acquaintance be forgot? Nah, he'll be around. He'll be around. But anyway, so this is very unfortunate, and we don't know if he was just incompetent or if his hands were really just tied. I would kind of veer in the direction of his being hands tied, I'd say. I mean, if you think about it, if it's really a matter of like democracy, one of the reasons why Italy ended up going forward with the whole like solidarity thing so much was cause a lot of the people within the country are actually, as of this point in time, part of a demographic that supports solidarity. So then if you kind of go against that, right, then like you might not actually have a country left to rule, right? Like that's one of the things about democracy, right? You have to please a whole bunch of people. So I know that it sounds like a cop out, right? And it actually gives you the impression that, like, hey, like you're giving an excuse to all these people, but like it's a very real thing, right? Like if you lose the votes, then like you're gonna end up losing an election. But first, you see, the thing is that it's funny that I should have the occasion to mention this, but there was a quote actually from a former prime minister that reminds me at this point in time to go right ahead and show you this. It's a quote by Winston Churchill. The best argument against democracy is a 5 minute conversation with the average voter. Sir Winston Churchill. The best argument against democracy is a 5 minute conversation with the average voter. If you don't know who Winston Churchill was, I mean, he was the senpai of our good old Keir Starmer, arguably a much better prime minister, and somebody who definitely didn't go with the flow. Granted, when we think about Winston Churchill, he was the prime minister of the UK during the World War II. And like if you're in the middle of a war, right, then like certain things become a lot easier, right? Like, I mean, just think about it. Like George W. Bush ended up getting reelected during the time of the war, which America, I wouldn't say they started it, but like depending on whom you talk to, then like that sort of like causality chain it can kind of get muddled along the way. But like George W. Bush, the president of the United States, that a lot of people would say was not like the smartest cookie in the entire shit. He ended up getting a massive majority because it was during a time of war that the elections came about. So the thing about Keir is that, well, he didn't get into war. He intentionally didn't get into war. He followed the line of Neville Chamberlain and he basically said, hey, why don't we all just be at peace? Why don't we all just not get involved? But maybe Keir didn't realize that there was another war. And it was a war of demographics and of keeping your society together in body, soul, and form, not allowing it to lose its essential nature. And to be fair, right? Like when you say like essential nature, right? It's kind of hard for you to like decide exactly what it is. Cause like what exactly is English culture, right? I mean, we could be casually looking at, and by the way, like those of you from Singapore at the moment, yeah. So like maybe you've seen like these Instagram posts featuring Sadiq and his casual teh tarik escapades with Denise Teo Jia Qi. I don't know if any of you follow this particular person right here. I do not, but I just know that like this is something that was happening along the way. Lots of eating teh tarik and Sadiq saying so shock and eating durian and like a whole bunch of other things right there. That is Sadiq just casually enjoying his good old fashioned teh tarik making exercise right there. Truly amazing. Thank you, Sadiq. Bro didn't actually know, by the way, like what these dishes were, and he just like said that they were like fusion. I'm like, bro, like, do you not know that like roti canai or roti canai, like depending on who you talk to, is something that you can easily find in like the UK. Do you just not walk into London at all? Are you just not aware? But apparently that was Sadiq. So very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. But anyway, so it is kind of interesting to think about what is going to be happening along the way. I think if you enjoy UK politics, then it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens along the way. Any future leader of the UK is still going to have to deal with the fact that the demography of the UK has really just fundamentally changed because of the way the immigration policy has been. And it's going to be a question of like whether or not you can actually deal with that. If it's true that the UK could actually go on like a good pathway, even if you replaced Keir Starmer with a potato, right? Because of the way that the establishment works, I'm sure that Downing Street is filled with many capable people, all unfortunately caught in an unfortunate situation of different competing interests, leading into an equilibrium that ultimately serves the interests of very few people, or at least in such a way that if you end up pleasing everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. But yeah, if you say that Downing Street was effective, regardless of the fact that you could replace Keir Starmer with a potato, it could very well be the fact that even if you ended up getting the most capable person on the entire planet, and that could be either your Mamdani, if you view the world that way, or a Trump, if you view the world that way, although I think very few people do at this point in time, or Noor Aziza Rohingya. Gosh, like I don't even know what the world would be like if that person were to lead like the world. But anyway, yeah, you could get the most capable person in the entirety of the UK, bring Lee Kuan Yew back from the dead, and make it so that he ends up ruling the UK, and you could still end up with those problems just purely because of demography. Unless, of course, you really could see a big difference from leadership. But I don't know. Like, I think it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out in the next couple of days ahead. So yeah, I mean, like, if there is going to be like some sort of like Lee Kuan Yew, Winston Churchill hybrid organism coming out to lead the UK out of the mess. I was gonna say mess, but like honestly, like most countries around the world are kind of like messed up at the moment, aren't they? So I don't know if we can really say that. But anyway, I have to go for a yoga class, and Sapoops, it's been real. So thank you for joining me on this live stream and for watching. Sorry about the audio from earlier, and have a great one ahead. Bye.